The Frasier Season 2 opener finally addresses its most problematic connection, but it makes its Cheers narrative whole worse in the process. Returning to Boston, there was already a presumption that the rebirth of Frasier Crane would draw on the city's past. He was based in Beantown before returning home to Seattle for almost 10 years to be reunited with his family. It was there that he met Lilith and gave birth to Freddie. Still, the first 10 episodes of the Frasier revival seldom touched on his Cheers days. Not even Sam Malone's bar has been mentioned yet. Grammer's character on Frasier has had time to properly reacquaint himself with the city before the show's premiere. In addition to having a good career as a guest professor at Harvard, he is always trying to patch things up with Freddie. Remarkably, unlike other revivals, the Paramount Plus revival managed to do all of this without veering toward nostalgia. Although that's fantastic for its first year, it's anticipated that the new Frasier will acknowledge Cheers at some point soon. But for the time being, it puts more emphasis on its own narrative, further upending the accepted canon with its most recent relationship mend. The narrative of the Frasier Revival Season 2 premiere, Ham, focuses on the friendship between Frasier and Alan Cornwall, which is a significant but, for some reason, little explored connection in the program. The project's initial plan called for bringing in Seattle characters like Niles and Daphne, but as David Hyde Piercer and Jane Leaves declined, Grammer was forced to come up with an alternate story. As part of this, a whole new cast was assembled to accompany Frasier, with British comic icon Nicholas Lyndhurst being cast as Grammer's purported closest buddy. The difficulty is that the Paramount Plus initiative has done a terrible job of supporting up this premise. Fortunately, it is fixed in the Frasier Season 2 opener, which shows us just how the two became friends while celebrating Ham Day. They had already been shown to have met while attending Oxford, but the details of their meeting had remained murky until now. The revelation in Ham that Alan was the one who suggested Freddie leave Harvard, a move that caused years of hostility between the father and son Crane, adds still another level to the pair's interaction. Viewers may now more easily buy into Frasier and Alan's relationship by the end of the Frasier Season 2 premiere. Now that its base is solid, the resurrection may progressively rely on progressing without appearing forced. Sadly, there's a cost associated with this. Finding out more about the start of Frasier and Alan's romance brings to light the question of why Lyndhurst's character was never brought up in Cheers. The first season of Frasier made it clear that Alan and his friend were still in contact, and had even gone to Frasier and Lilith's wedding, indicating that they were hanging around over those years. It becomes extremely harder to close this narrative hole in light of Alan's passion for alcohol. It would have been the ideal drinking location for him, even though his interests might not be precisely the same as those of the typical barfly at Sam's Tavern. It would have been easy for Frasier to ask his British acquaintance to join him for a pint or two in the pub. Grammer's therapist ought to have brought up his purported closest buddy at the very least. Though it's true that Alan was developed specifically for the Frasier revival, the writers ought to have paid closer attention to maintaining continuity when developing his persona.